Councillor Bond, how do you vote? Is he still not on? No, okay. Please record the vote.
With all councillors voting aye, the motion passes.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the June 17, 2025 bills and claims as audited by City Manager Napier. Moved by Councillor Haskins, seconded by Councillor Jensen. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councillors voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. Just let me know when Councillor Bond gets on. He's on now. Okay. Thank you. Now is the time that we invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak with the council to come forward. This portion of the meeting is dedicated to the public to allow them time to discuss matters of public interest, to voice their concerns. Please state your name, direct all questions and comments to the mayor. No personal obscenities or threats will be tolerated. Council will not respond to any personnel matters. Those will be referred to our city manager. Councillors may ask clarifying questions, but if they choose to respond to matters, they will do so during the scheduled council response time, which follows the communications from the persons present. Presentations are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers are allowed. Please note that public hearings and ordinances have their own separate comment periods. Mr. Schriffman. Good evening.
I am very grateful for everyone fight for our freedom. Father was in the army before I was. He survived so long. But George Patton once said, the soldier is the army. No army is better than the soldier. Soldier is also a citizen. In fact, the highest obligation is citizenship. That of bearing arms when it's coming. Right in Washington, I watched it on amazing. All those troops, they listened. Families were leaving after the parade. There was a group of protesters, like a small group. Not, and we've already had an accident. I also heard some of the protesters chanting slogans for the destruction of Israel. There is no difference in the goals between Hamas and various terrorist organizations and the Nazis. The only difference is the uniforms. And we're in a situation right now in the Middle East that is really very difficult. And I have a friend from high school that's in one of the towns that got hit by a ballistic missile. So I have prayers for that. And we need to make sure that people understand what Nazis mean, and to call each other citizens Nazis or to write a swastika on a lawn is not okay. People have a right to say what they want, but we have a right to condemn it. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or clarifications for Mr. Schriffman? Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Omar, how are you?
Good. How about you, Mr. Mayor?
Good. It's good to see you again.
You too. I just want to say, a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago, I did a ride along with the Casper PD, and that was an experience. I'm telling you what, it was. I rode with, I think, Officer Alex, great guy. Love his charm. He's awesome. I realized the inner working of how Casper PD works and all that stuff, and it realized it does. That's basically a plan B for me for the future, and it made me more excited to become maybe a police officer one day. And It was amazing. Another thing I'm leading into is that in the last couple weeks, there's been a lot of political unrest between migrants and ICE and all that stuff, and especially in the Hispanic community in Casper. I'm Hispanic here, and there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of talk about ICE and raids in Casper, and I don't believe them. Well, I do, but at the same time, there's an article that always get written a couple hours later, and it's like, oh, this explained that. My only thing is, I hope the Casper PD is, taking these, if you pull over Hispanic or something, they might be a little scared because they don't know what's going to happen or something like that. And I hope they're doing their due diligence and their due process as it's required in our Constitution, is to have every people in the United States have the process of due process in the United States. I know I don't have too much say into stuff, and it's like, it's a lot, and I read into it. I keep my mouth shut because I don't just want to ruffle some feathers, because it's really hard to take, ideas and not, say nothing about them. But for me, I just keep my mouth closed, just watch. Like right here, you guys, I've been attending meetings since, I think it was February now.
So,
And it's like, there's so many ideas I have and so many questions I always have, and it's like things, there's some, what do you call it? Not good ideas sometimes here and there, and it's okay. Everybody has their disagreements. It's not a big deal. But as a citizen and as a teenager who's growing up in Casper, I'm seeing that we can all work, both if you're both sides of the spectrum, we can all work together and do something great. Like here in Casper, it's amazing how you guys all work together and how you find the ideas to compromise and how to deal with people, And sometimes it's upsetting how some people are rude to you guys, and it's like, oh, you be a citizen, be nice, be cordial. They will disagree or just need to be, good. But that's my 2 cents. I have not too many says. So,
any questions for Omar? Only question I have, when do you turn 18, or are you?
I already did. January 3rd was my birthday.
Okay, so you can run for city council now. You are old enough.
I
Depending
am.
on how long you've lived in your ward, I think it's a year. You can run, Omar.
I can, but I can't. I live in Mills, and that's, I work.
You can run Mills too.
Mills is
There's going to be some seats open. Omar.
Mills is the different story. Mills is just really not, like, Casper controls majority of what happens in Casper, and that's why I like attending your meetings. They're not as boring as the other one. The other boring. The last time I went over there, 10 minutes, we're done, out. Yeah. I met with everybody. Love the mayor. What's her name again? I forgot.
Juarez.
Juarez, yep. Wonderful lady. She's doing a great job in Mills. I think it's finally some changing. Oh, one more thing. Can I say something else?
You bet. You got a minute and 50 seconds. You're
okay. Good. For me, it's you should maybe reach out or do more like I look up. You don't have an Instagram page, and I feel like if you reach out to more of the younger community, like teenagers, inform them what's going on in their city and what's going on. People, I think, will be more interested in what's going on as a young person. Being young and all that, I feel like there's my age that will maybe want to talk and what's going on in their city and their community and their ward here in Casper, and maybe reaching out will help and tell them what's going on, actually, It's
a great suggestion. Make sure not to leave, because when we do council, we'll respond.
Okay.
And have the conversation. I'm sure there's going to be some council members that want to respond to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Omar.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? Good evening, Mr. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, City Council. Appreciate this opportunity to speak. Just a couple of topics that I wanted to speak to briefly, and I just want to kind of bring a little bit of the voice of the conservatives across town. And I know this is a little too late when it comes to the budgeting session, and I know I probably should have been talking about this a long time ago, but I want to bring up this issue. And that's just the fact that one of the things I noticed in the budgeting process, and this is something that is constantly said, is we need to worry about the services for the people. And I understand that is actually the role of this body, absolutely true. But one of the things that seems to be forgotten is the fact that one of the things that I think is a prevailing concept within this state as well is some conservative values that say limited government and the proper role of government. And I think sometimes when we focus on the making sure that we get all these additional services, we very much break those rules. those rules on the proper role of government and the limited government. And I bring that up to say things like, to bring this up because it's real easy for the city to say, hey, you know, somebody's going to be bringing money into the state, so we're going to make a special deal with them and do those kinds of deals. And I would argue that's welfare for the connected. And I think the city council needs to be thinking in those terms. And I think you need to find that mix that says we need to look for services, but we need to look and make darn sure that the things we're doing are the proper role of government. For example, the city of Casper is in a lot of businesses right now. You could argue whether you agree with the ski area, you don't agree with the ski area. The truth is you're in business with business. You really are. And you're making agreements, and I'll just use this as an example. When you guys start making lease agreements for $1 here or $10 there or $500 there on land, your job is to lease the land and let the business do the job of the business. Those are the kinds of things I think you need to consider in your budgeting. And I realize this is too little too late, but I at least wanted to make this clear. These are the areas where I think you need to look very closely. Is this the proper role of government? And are we truly thinking as a limited government? And I think it is more important to, when you start looking at these deals, are these welfare for the connected types of deals? Because they really truly do become welfare for the connected. And people are going to see that. You're not making the same deal for the small business downtown because they're either paying rent to the guy who's paying property taxes, or they own the building and they're paying property taxes and they're not getting the same deal. And everybody says, hey, these other guys are bringing in the money. Guess what? They're bringing in the money too. Okay, so I'm asking for your consideration there. The second issue that I just wanted to bring up, and again, these are just opinions of one man, but the second opinion I want to bring up is this whole issue. It keeps coming up, and it's the property tax relief. And in some level, I will jokingly say thank you for those of you who continue to spew the fear porn in the paper, okay, about what's happening. Because what you're really doing is you're telling your people that your budget is more important than what's happening on the kitchen table to your constituents. That's what you're really telling them, okay? Because the truth is they've sucked it up, and these property taxes left on the kitchen table, it's good for the community, and it's certainly good for those people whose table it's left on. And somehow we tend to continue to turn that into, oh, this terrible thing that happened. I'm sorry, but it probably wasn't enough. And I guess I'm slamming you with a little bit too much feedback. But the truth is it wasn't enough, because the truth is those are the people we all serve. And when our focus is on the government's budget more than it's on the people whose kitchen tables we're affecting, we're going in the wrong direction. So those are just two topics I wanted to bring up because I've seen it over and over again. And again, I know it's a lot of it's not relevant, but I want to thank you all for the time to at least give an opinion on a couple of topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any questions for Representative? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Representative, for joining us tonight. Appreciate you sharing your feedback. Your latter point about the property tax relief, I'm curious because I've been in a lot of conversations with folks over this past week about how the city is responding to that $1.8 million reduction in property tax revenue. We're doing it in part by not filling vacant positions, other things, but also reducing park maintenance. It was something that we were getting a lot of grief about. We are not hiring 5 seasonal staff members we would historically hire for park maintenance, and we're going to be changing our mowing schedule. I think it's weekly to bi-weekly. My Parks and Rec director is confirming that with a head nod. And so I guess my question is, we had gotten a lot of flack for how we managed those property tax reductions. I think everyone on council is acknowledging that, that was the diligence of the legislature, and you felt compelled by your constituents to pass that. And so we did what we thought we could responsibly do to absorb those revenue decreases. And so I guess my question is, what are your thoughts on our proposed plan to absorb those? And do you see other areas that you think would have been more fruitful or less impactful for our constituents to find that money?
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you. And thank you for that question. And actually, let me just say this. I really am not judging you on where you chose to make cuts. I'm not trying to do that. My concern is always in how you paint it when you put it out there and how it gets painted, because it always gets painted in the same way. And it's an obvious painting of, hey, everybody get your guard up. These people are trying to reduce taxes. And I'm just saying, because I'm not even trying to judge you on whether that's the right place or not the right place. Hey, guys, that's what you do. And I couldn't even begin to say I'm the right person to make a judgment call on that. I'm not, nor am I judging you. But my point is, we would be much better off understanding, and what I ask you all to do is keep in mind that that was a good thing for our people, and we all serve the same people. And yeah, states should have to take a haircut. Cities and counties are going to take a haircut, but the people really already have. And so that's what I'm asking the city council, is to take a different approach to this and understand how we do this, because I don't get so frustrated by it, other than the fact the way sometimes this gets painted.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Representative Locke? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your
Appreciate it.
time. Anybody else before we turn to council comments? Okay. Anybody have any comments for any of our speakers that came up? I just have a couple. I will say, Representative Locke, I do have some comments if you want me to respond. If you have to go ahead, but I was just going to have a couple comments. Omar, I really just want you to continue to believe exactly what you said, because we've come into a point where there has become this tribalistic, hyper-tribalistic political ideology. We're right, left, you're wrong, I'm right. We say things to hurt people. We say these things we tweet mean things. We do all that stuff, which is broken down what we are as people, and understanding that we can disagree, but we can still respect and see each other through that image of God that I've always said in my life. Keep fighting that. We need your younger generation to continue to fight for those things, the things that we stand for, which is dignity, respect, and honor of every individual that lives on this planet. And I mean every individual. So you continue to fight for that. And I hope you run someday, because that's what you need to be able to see. Okay, thank you. Just Representative Locke had come up, and I appreciate your comments. We've had a good opportunity to have some communication the last few weeks since the legislation has ended. It's been spirited. I think we've had some really good conversations around how that has happened and what it is. I think to the point when you were saying how the message was delivered, and I think I've shared this with you guys, the message was delivered in transparency and honesty. When we believed that we needed to make cuts, which we needed to, and I agree with you. Number one, I'm a taxpayer. I want tax cuts. I want to be able to pay less in my taxes, and I support that. With tax cuts comes the opportunity we have to make cuts as well to services, whatever those services look like. The way we approached it as a city was to be transparent. Now, whether you interpret that as fear mongering, which I disagree with, I came across, especially with my messages on Facebook, to be honest with the people we represent in this community, to say these are the things that we're going to have to take the brunt. And if there's more tax cuts, which I would gladly do as myself, who lives on a budget in my middle class house over by Kelly Walsh, that I would love to have property taxes as well, that there will be consequences of that. Meaning the state will have to make cuts. We'll have to make cuts. But I'm going to be honest and transparent with our constituents. And it's not fear-mongering. It's having an honest conversation. Look at my statements, and it was honest, straightforward, and didn't pull any punches. And if that's fear-mongering, no, it's the government being transparent. So the community of Casper knows exactly where the city of Casper stands. And if there's tax cuts, which we all welcome, then we can't maintain our parks. We can't water them. So guess what? They're going to be brown. You're going to have to deal with it. There may be pools that close. It's not fear-mongering. It's the reality. So we're being transparent and we're being honest with our community. I have stood by that, and I will go to the ground and to the mat for this community. So yes, I want tax cuts as an individual, as a person, as a citizen. But there are ramifications of it, and we're starting to see it. So that's what I wanted to say. And so we will continue to have these spirited conversations. I respect Representative Locke. We've continued to do that, but I respect him and the work that we're doing. And in the same context, Omar, I want you to understand that even though we may see things differently, Representative Locke and I, then I can still see him as a person and a human being as well, okay? So don't ever forget that. Okay, thanks Representative Block, appreciate it. Anybody else? All right, let's move on. Thanks for everybody that came up and talked. Please read the consent agenda titles.
Established July 1st, 2025 as the public hearing date for consideration of an ordinance approving a vacation final plat subdivision agreement and zone change for the Valley West Park Addition subdivision. A new resort liquor license number 9, JJM HYT CPR Hospitality LLC, doing business as Hyatt Place Casper, located at 407 North Walsh. And a transfer of location and ownership for retail liquor license number 24 from Sunset Operations LLC, doing business as Alibi Bar, to Homax Oil Sales, doing business as Homax number 3.
Thank you. The chair to entertain a motion to, by minute action, establish the public hearing dates just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councillor Sweeney. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Councillor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of an ordinance amending Casper Municipal Code regarding sidewalk obstructions prohibited. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Tom Brower to J. Carter Napier dated June 11th, 2025. And exhibit number 2, an affidavit of publication from the Casper Star Tribune dated June 12th, 2025. And that's all.
Thank you so much. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
Yes, sir. Thank you. This might be one of the most simple amendments you've ever entertained as a council person. We are suggesting that one word be added to the ordinances to include the concept of clearing snow as a part of this ordinance, among other things that would be included as obstructions to sidewalks, which is what this particular ordinance discusses in its current fashion. And so that really is the request, and that request was really born in a conversation much like this one, where members of your group suggested that snow should be included in the elements of obstruction that sidewalks can be obscured by. So that change is being proposed, and beyond that, I'm not sure if the attorney has anything else to add.
Anything else?
Your Honor, it is that simple. Section 12.24.030 of the Casper Municipal Code, Section A. We simply added the word snow to the list that's already there.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's see. Council will now listen to public comments, and public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes, and there are no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of this ordinance to please approach the lectern. Those who wish to speak in favor. Okay, at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to this ordinance to please approach the lectern. Anybody who wishes to speak against? Okay, there being no one to speak for or against the ordinance, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the ordinance by title only.
Amending Casper Municipal Code, Section 12.24.030, sidewalk obstructions prohibited.
Chair to entertain a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance just read. Moved by Councillor Haskins, seconded by Councillor Jensen. Any discussion on this ordinance? Yep, Councillor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager and the Deputy City Attorney,
That's
City Attorney Tempora. Yeah, I don't know what your title is this evening.
Tempora.
Tempora, right? Fried.
Tempora.
Y'all pretty much alluded to it already, but I was surprised. I shouldn't be anymore these days, 5 years later. I should not be surprised, but yeah, the nature of the public conversation online after this one, you know, folks is thinking this is going to drastically change the dynamics of, you know, shoveling snow or something in our community. As the two gentlemen alluded to, we already have this ordinance and it already prohibits obstructions on the sidewalk, including broken ware, glass, filth, rubbish, refuse matter, ice, water, oil, mud, garbage, ashes, tin cans. other like substances, automobiles, trucks, trailers, bicycles, toys, merchandise, we are adding the word snow. So I guess to assuage any public fears about the city, sending around folks to give citations about not shoveling your snow or anything. In my opinion, this was just an oversight when this ordinance was originally put together. It should have definitely been in there with ice and water, in my opinion. And so it's just an oversight that we're correcting in the case that there are, egregious examples of people piling snow and public rights of way and stuff. That this gives us a mechanism to, act with some authority in those cases where it's really to the public detriment. So just very simple. Just wanted to make that clear. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Councillor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of an ordinance amending Casper Municipal Code regarding driver license restrictions. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Eric Nelson to J. Carter Napier, dated June 5th, 2025. And exhibit number 2, an affidavit of publication from the Casper Star Tribune, dated June 13th, 2025. That's all the exhibits.
Great. Thank you so much. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
A similarly brief one, Your Honor. Thank you. This ordinance change is being proposed to include the prohibition of possession of a fictitious or fraudulently altered identification card as something that our law enforcement professionals can follow up on when they come across one of these, as it relates to the contacts that they make with people, particularly in the world of fictitious IDs being used to purchase tobacco and alcohol. And so with that, I would certainly turn the time over to the attorney for any other commentary.
Anything further?
Your Honor, the only other commentary I would have is I found it rather surprising that we didn't have something in our code previously that made it wrong to have false IDs in your possession, only to use them. And so when our police run into that situation, we thought we should add something with council's approval to address that.
Well, I know for one, there's no young people in Casper that have them. Because I believe in them. Right, Chief? It didn't get the laugh I thought it was going to get, Pete. Where am I? Okay. Council will now listen to public comments. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers will be allowed. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of this ordinance to please approach the lectern. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor? This time, I'd ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to this ordinance to please approach the lectern. Anybody who wishes to speak in opposition? There being no one to speak for or against the ordinance, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the ordinance by title only.
Amending Casper Municipal Code Section 10.12.030, driver's license restrictions.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councillor Haskins. Any discussion? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Councillor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2026 City of Casper budget. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor, we do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Jill Johnson to J. Carter Napier, dated June 11th, 2025. And the second exhibit number 2, an affidavit of publication from the Casper Star Tribune, dated June 6th, 2025. And that's all the exhibits.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report on this?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. This is the opportunity wherein council has a chance to adopt the budget for the fiscal year 2026. With your approval, of course, this budget will go into effect on July 1, and the goals and the expenses and the revenues and so on that are discussed in that budget will then take effect. Council is aware of many nuances that are included with regard to the proposal for fiscal year 26, in that we had a very lengthy conversation in a work session recently, May 27th, actually, to be exact, wherein we talked about a number of the provisions that the budget suggests and proposes. Council is also aware that this budget is actually being presented in a bit of a positive imbalance. The budget from an expense standpoint is being proposed at $183,702, but understand that we are anticipating a revenue stream of just over $189 million, which is certainly a good spot to be in. Unfortunately, it doesn't aid the general fund in regards to the imbalances that we've discussed in great detail with regard to revenue and expenses in the general fund. The FY26 budget does include a general fund budget of $56.1 million, as well as a capital budget of $27.6 million, the likes of which will increase with regard to Amendment 1 coming to pass later in the summer, wherein we'll likely roll over a number of capital projects that are not totally complete and need to have spending authority follow the boundaries of each of the budget seasons, as you all are aware. I am happy to report that this budget does not rely on revenue infusions in order to operate the general fund or to operate most of the enterprises. We do see subsidy activity as it relates to recreational enterprises, the detail of which we also went over quite a bit in the work session of May 27th. And so from that standpoint, wherein we are removing capital projects from reserves and so on in order to leverage larger dollars and or keep up with the capital agenda that you've approved, would be the only time really that we've broached or breached reserves. And that, in my opinion, is done in a very methodical, planned way. Beyond that, Mr. Mayor, that's all that I have for this report, and would certainly ask for your approval of said proposal.
Thank you. Council will now listen to public comment. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers are allowed. This time I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of this resolution, please approach the lectern. Anybody that wishes to speak in favor? Okay. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the resolution to please approach the lectern. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm not totally in opposition, but I got some recommendations. Again, my name is Rush Rickman. I'm the organizer, as you know, of Casper Citizens Department of Government Efficiency. We had two town halls, as you know. I want to thank members of council that came, making comments, listening to the citizens, and I appreciate the citizens that showed up. I also very much appreciate the staff, the cooperation of the staff in providing information to me that I couldn't find directly online, and also the work that the manager and the staff have done on this budget. It's a good job. I sent a 10-page document to all of you, so I only want to comment on 2 areas, make recommendation before you pass. One is a spending item, and the other is a revenue item. The spending item I'd like to mention is the pedestrian bridge to go over the river. We feel it's unnecessary, and if we were 5 years from now and we didn't have that bridge, I don't think anything would really change in Casper. And there is a bridge, accessible bridge, First Street, sidewalk right connected to the trail there. So it's a $6 million project. So we've recommended, you do have a grant from the federal government, $3.5 million. You're going to move $2 million from the balance of the water fund for moving the utilities. And I don't know where it stands now with the grant from the state, $550,000. I don't know if that's been approved or it's been applied for. The federal government is $36 trillion in debt, and it's really affecting our inflation. I've moved here 4 years ago, and everything's gone up. It's mainly because of the federal government printing money. So if we gave that back, that wouldn't solve the $36 trillion deficit, but it certainly would give an indication. So, and then I would think that the state should be responsible if they're going to, and I understand it's on the list, to repair or replace Poplar Street Vehicle Bridge. And that should really be, if there's utilities on there, which are, that should be their responsibility. On the revenue side, we've looked very closely at some of the rent arrangements, these deals. Just to give you a comparison, it is now averaging $995 per month to rent a 1-bedroom apartment. And then tonight at your pre-meeting, you approved increasing fees for Fort Casper Museum. Every organization that has events here pays a full rate, and it would be more fair, and it's unfair to give certain groups these special deals, and maybe they would be interested in renegotiating some of that. It won't affect their bottom line. They're doing great stuff in the community, and everybody should pay the same amount. So those are my comments, and I thank you for your time.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Schriftman? Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Gamera.
Thanks, Mr. Schriftman. Always appreciate your regular attendance. You got to have a record by this point. I don't know if we keep tally, but I really appreciate how engaged you are and taking the time to put together this document I got in front of me. In regards to your question, though, about the federal grant for the pedestrian bridge, my question to you is, should we not accept that federal grant? Is it your belief that the federal government will apply it towards the deficit? I totally hear your concerns about the deficit. It's outrageous. That's why I have really appreciated the fact that while that we on City Council, we pass a balanced budget, we have a cash-based capital projects budget, so we do not find ourselves in the situation the national government is, which is trillions of dollars in debt. But my question is, do you think us not applying for that grant, that the monies that were allocated for that grant would be applied towards the federal deficit? Thank you.
Mayor, council member, we could certainly ask our congressional delegation. And by the way, I'm glad you brought up, I forgot to mention one thing. I completely agree with Councilman Gamroth about the roads. That should be a #1 priority. In some of the neighborhoods, you're going to break an axle. And I know there's a lot of work that our road crews do, but there's a lot of roads that need help. And if we can focus more on that than some of the other things, that would be good. But yeah, I would say any community should be stepping up and saying, you know, our costs are going up. We got to get help in some way to get the federal debt down. When I was in college, it was $500 billion. And that was, well, that was a couple of years ago. But over the years, these earmarks, every member of Congress wants to bring home the bacon. And it's our bacon that we send to Washington. So if we can do anything as a community, as a state, to say, hey, you know, we're okay. We're going to be able to handle some of these capital projects ourselves with monies that our local people decide. That would be a good thing for everybody, because the costs are going to keep going up with the deficit going up.
Yeah, go ahead.
So your suggestion to turn the money back to the federal government, I just want to give you an example. We have a $90 million sewer project that needs taken care of, and an additional $75 million with other infrastructure. If we were to turn those funds back to the federal government, that would put each family of 4 in the city of Casper on the hook for $10,153.87. So where do you think we can get the money to take care of the infrastructure if it's not through federal grants and that kind of money? The city of Casper does not have the authority to tax its citizens. If we want to initiate a tax, we have to put it on the ballot as a 1-cent special tax. So I can't imagine people voting for an increase of 5 to 10 cent sales tax to try and come up with money to take care of a sewer. And it's probably been 50 years since I've used an outhouse, that I don't really want to have to dig an outhouse in my backyard in order to take care of business. I think that we need to look to those things that have already been appropriated for that expense, and it's not out of line for us to get our money back from the federal government to take care of our infrastructures. But I'm with you. We are way out of line on our federal spending, absolutely. So there has to be a fine line, and I know that each individual in Casper doesn't have $2,500 extra sitting in their pocket that they can give us to take care of the infrastructure needs that we have.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, are you specifically talking about the pedestrian bridge, or are you talking about the sewer systems overall? Because the sewer systems are a necessity. The pedestrian bridge, and I've looked at the several reasons for it, it doesn't seem to me a priority at this point. But the other things, I mean, we're in a bind because of the way the laws work, the state laws and the federal, and what's happened over the years. But some of these projects, I don't think we should be focusing on. Now, you've already given out a contract for a management organization, so we're kind of at the end of this thing. But I'd be interested in seeing what it looks like when it's completed and how many people are actually using it, because you have the new priority budgeting tool, and to me, without using that tool, I see low impact and high cost. It was $3.5 million, now it's $6 million. Of course, there's money available for that, but there's other things that are important that are not being taken care of. So that's my view.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Striffler.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any others who wish to speak in opposition? Okay. There being no others to speak for or against the resolution, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the resolution by title only.
Making appropriations of funds to cover expenditures of the city of Casper, Wyoming for the fiscal year of July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution just read. Moved by the vice mayor, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Discussion from council. The only comment I would like to make about the budget is I want to again go on record thanking the staff. One of the things that I want to make sure that is completely clear is the work and the effort and the expertise that went into putting this together. It cannot be stressed and it cannot be overemphasized, the amount of work to put together an almost $200 million budget. This council up here, we are lay people. Our background, we rely a lot on the staff. We rely on the expertise of this staff, and we by far have the best staff in the state of Wyoming. That is not even a question. We were at Wyoming Association Municipalities last week, met with a lot of city managers, a lot of city clerks, a lot of HR people that were all there. And we by far have the best staff in all the departments, and we have one of the best leaders in the whole entire state. So I want to make sure that the staff knows how much we appreciate them and the work that they have done to present to us a balanced budget. Thank you so much for the work that you guys have done. I know some of you had to take some hits. Some of you had to do some reworking on the budget, but we appreciate you and the work that you guys have done. We could not have done it without you. Thank you. Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Councillor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance vacating Stone Ridge Addition Block 1 Lot Park as dedicated public parkland.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve on second reading the ordinance just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councillor Sweeney. Council will now listen to any public comment. Would anybody like to comment on the second reading of this? Any discussion from the council? Okay, please cast your vote. Councillor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the ordinance on third reading by title only.
An ordinance approving a zone change for lots 30 to 31 South Garden Creek Acres Number 2 Addition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve and adopt on third reading the ordinance just read. Moved by Councillor Jensen, seconded by Councillor Haskins. Council will now listen to public comment. Does anybody wish to speak on this third reading? Okay. Any discussion from the council? Any amendments? Please cast your vote. Councillor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Council will now consider consent resolutions. Please read the consent resolutions by title only.
Authorizing a services agreement and subscription with governmentjobs.com Incorporated, doing business as NeoGov, for background investigation software. 10A2, authorizing an agreement with Mandros Painting Incorporated for the First South Tank Interior Repairs Project. 10A3, rescinding and replacing resolution number 18-114, establishing fees for the Metropolitan Animal Control Facility. 10A4, authorizing the levying of 8 mills property tax by the Natrona County Assessor on behalf of the city of Casper. 10A5, authorizing a quitclaim deed to the state of Wyoming concerning the land ordered conveyed by resolution 61-16. 10A6, authorizing the filing of an application with the Federal Transit Administration for the fiscal year 2025 competitive funding opportunity for the buses and bus facilities competitive grant program. 10A7, authorizing an assignment and assumption agreement between Crown Construction LLC, Installation and Service Company Incorporated, and the City of Casper, Wyoming concerning the East 21st Street improvements, Kingsbury Drive to Wells Drive project. 10A8, authorizing an agreement with SNS Builders LLC for the Paradise Valley to Robertson Road Trail Phase 2 project. 10A9, authorizing an agreement with Western Municipal Construction of Wyoming Incorporated for the North Platte Park Utilities Project. 10A10, authorizing an agreement with Raymond Corp. For construction manager at risk services for the North Platte River Pedestrian Bridge Project. 10A11, authorizing amendment number 7 to the joint powers agreement between the City of Casper and Natrona County for the Casper Area Economic Development Joint Powers Board. And 10A12, authorizing amendment number 4 to the contract for professional services with HDR Engineering Incorporated for the Paradise Valley to Robertson Road Trail Project.
Thank you. Chair to entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items just read. Moved by Councillor Sweeney, seconded by Councillor Jensen. Mr. City Manager, do you have any comments on any of
I
these?
do not, thank you.
Any abstentions or nay votes on any of these items from council? Please cast your vote. Councillor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the consent minute action titles.
11A1, authorizing the discharge of $115,535.86 of uncollectible accounts receivable balances. And 11A2, authorizing the reappointment of Cole Montgomery to the Natrona County Travel and Tourism Council.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items just read. Moved by Councilor Jensen, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Any abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote. Councilor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. At this time, we ask council members, councilors to bring forward relevant concerns or items of interest. Oh, sorry, we'll go around the table. I'm sorry.
Just waiting for it.
I was just waiting for you guys to put your hands up. Jeez, I was doing so well. Councilor Jensen, we'll start with you tonight.
All right, well, all that's on my mind is CNFR. So it has been already a busy week welcoming the contestants last Saturday over at the Ford Wyoming Center. So that was a joy, and watching them all and their excitement of being here and getting their swag bags, and the energy is very fun to be around and exciting. So I'm looking forward to them bringing it, throughout our community and downtown. And so, reminder, everybody stay on your best behavior, right? They also have, a performance tonight now, starting at 7 all the way through Saturday. And that last performance is also at 7. So try to get out there, see them, root the kids on. They also have a lot of events that are going on over at the Sports Ranch that are free to the community. And so check that out too. Lots of vendors over there. They have programs, kids programs, things for adults. They have music artists that are coming in. So just a lot of activity going on up there. And I don't know what time it is right now, but the Pony Express re-ride should be happening. It's expected to be at the passing through the Trail Center to exchange at 7:10. So if anybody's on their way up there and they see traffic halted, it's probably because the Pony Express is crossing the road. Cool. So, and that's it. They're headed east to west this year, or west to east. And so they'll arrive in, I think it's like 5 more days over in St. Joseph, Missouri. So you can watch that on the Pony Express Association.com website. They have a GPS in their Michela, so you can live action, live turtle action, long live horse action. I don't know. And then CNFR website and Sports Ranch website for the schedules.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Councilor Bond, do you have anything you'd like to share tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. Just other than to echo the mayor's comments about of appreciation to the staff for the great job on the budget, and thank you for answering all of our questions and making it understandable to a bunch of lay people, especially to Jill and her group, but everybody, because I know everybody contributed and put a lot of time and effort into that and answered our questions, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. Councilor Larson, do you have anything tonight?
I don't have anything.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Haskins.
I had an opioid meeting this week, and we designated a new chairman who also agreed to be note taker. So I'm going to let him summarize it because I'm sure he did really well, right? Listen, when you got him on the committee, use what you can. But that's all I had this week. So.
Thanks, Councilor. Appreciate it. Councilor Sweeney.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor. So I appreciated being able to attend WHAM. The conference was extremely educational for me, and the oatmeal cookies were really good. But it was a good 2.5, 3 days, I felt, and a couple of takeaways. I went to the one that the EPA put on because being on regional water, and I think there's I wish Tom would have been there in attendance. I think could have put to rest a lot of my fears, but the whole thing with lead is going to be costly. I believe Representative Hageman is trying to work on that and delay it a little further. But the estimate for Wyoming right now is about half a billion on trying to replace some of the water lines, and I'm taking it, it's some of the older parts of town in particular. But the other one was on investment in equities put on by the treasurer's office, and then Betsy was there from the governor's office to better explain. I mentioned that to Jill at Regional Water, and she's already well versed. And my concern was in the new WildStar 3 minimum investment is 5 million. So smaller communities probably aren't going to be able to approach that. The other concern that I'm hoping they'll get back to myself or Jill is not being able to utilize those funds the way it's written currently, and the rules will come out, I take it shortly for public comment, and I'm hoping we can discuss those at some time because it didn't appear, and they couldn't answer the question, is being able to use dividends as we currently do off the investment, or would you be penalized? And they couldn't answer that, any of the staff. And so why would you put your money in that if you can't utilize the funds, like our perpetual funds, if we can't get a decent rate and be able to utilize at some point. So I appreciate being able to go. I know there's being a bill drafted to eliminate us being able, you know, as a community to join WHAM and county commissioners, but it's relevant to school board associations. It'll be relative to a host of in my opinion, very damaging effect. So I definitely appreciated being able to go and attend. Saturday was an extremely busy day. I appreciated the dedication of the headstones for the fallen. I think most of them were killed in 1865, but that was a nice dedication over at Fort Casper, and that was all done through private donations and through the dedication of a lot of volunteers. From there, I went out to Barnum. Radiant was having an additional town hall, and that didn't go so well, and people weren't very respectful, but I think Radiant did a great job of answering questions, in my opinion. From there, I went to Pride Fest for a little bit, and that attendance was very impressive for Pride Fest, and I don't believe there was any problems. At least I didn't hear of any. From there, I went to Washington Park for the Father's Day promotion, and that was well attended, and shout out to Sinclair, HF Sinclair. They did the cooking and a lot of other agencies there disseminating information, and ended the night with the Bishop House and Mark Twain. So Saturday was a long but great day. On Sunday, I stopped in at the beginning of it was too hot to walk for the Pride March, but that was a good attendance too. I would guess about 100 attended that. Appreciate community, the support of the police department and the city on keeping those folks safe. And then, Jenna, I don't know if you did mention, but I think West Fest looked to be a pretty good success. There. Yeah.
Good. Oh. Nice.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh. I forgot that. I'm sorry. And then I didn't get past West Fest until about 8 or a little after, and there were still people with out-of-state license plates coming. I'm guessing.
Yeah, early on they had a lot of brush pad going, and there was a ton of kids over in that kids area that it was sponsored by hay bales and a blow-up house. And kids were that section was really amazing. And over on the other side with the classes on the music that was
No.
Great. Nice. That's great. Yeah.
So then yesterday attended some stuff, but not so much city related. And then today we had regional water. We did the budget and also a wholesale rate increase of 3%. Which equals about 7 cents per 1,000 gallons. And so I don't know how often we, as one of the retailer basically of those wholesale rates, how often we actually look at increasing our rates, but just something to consider down the line. So, and I think that's it. And I also echo all the thanks to staff being new to this particular budget. I appreciate very much the time and dedication of the city manager and staff. And Jill sat through regional water, and there was discussion about that maybe the city in certain areas is charging too much back to regional. So perhaps we can, I think Paul or Bertolio or somebody's gonna, or Ethan might contact us on looking at some of those. So in particular, the distribution of city manager and the city attorney. And I think there was a third one that they were concerned about. But again, thank you to the staff for making it more understandable. So.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Councilor Gamroth, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I covered it. No, I got a couple others. You got quite a bit more stamina than me after a week down in Cheyenne, though. I stayed pretty close to home over the weekend. But yeah, Wham, always a great joy. I didn't try the cookies, but I do because Wham and membership of counties and cities to these sorts of organizations is a hot topic these days. I did want to make sure people were aware sponsors covered the cost of the cookies. So I'm super thankful for our new executive director, Ashley. She had increased our sponsorship levels from, I think it was around 80,000 last year, and we're up to 150,000 or so this year. So while yes, there are membership dues and other monies that the cities, counties, and other groups contribute towards their membership, our executive director at WHAM, at least, I can't speak for the other entities, but she's a rock star. She brought a lot of new sponsors in and was able to provide a really high quality event for very low cost to the members. So always very informative, very educative. One of the things that was discussed that we sort of discussed at the first part of our meeting was, so we got to chat with a lot of other cities about how they're handling their property tax decrease, about how they're handling their gun-free zones and stuff. One of the panels made mention of the fact that property taxes, which one of our local legislators introduced this idea of eliminating all property taxes, and I believe the Joint Revenue Committee even supported it, at least initially. They may amend it after the fact, but $2 billion in revenue for property taxes to the state of Wyoming. And so I guess I would just, not to fearmonger, but if people don't like the $1.8 million reduction in property tax revenues that the city has had to absorb and therefore cut equivalent amount of services, if folks don't like that, I wonder what they would think of a $2 billion cut in property taxes. Across the state. We would have to get a lot more creative than just mowing a little bit less frequently. So, I understand where Representative Locke was coming from. People are struggling out there. We have to try to meet them where they're at and reduce where we can. But I just do not think people would be, one of the solutions posed for eliminating property taxes, just make up for it in sales taxes. I very much highly doubt that people in our county would like to see a 12% sales tax to make up for their loss of property tax. So just, I understand the need to meet people where they're at and give some sort of relief, but it has to be surgical. It has to be well thought out. It cannot be this chainsaw approach across the board and then just dealing with the unintended consequences after the fact. So looking forward to future conversations with our legislators about how we compromise and how we kind of find the best path forward along those lines. Thanks, Councilor Sweeney, for bringing up the Father's Day event at Washington Park. That's put on by the Casper Housing Authority. I appreciate all the sponsors and volunteers that helped to make that happen. As you mentioned, Sinclair for serving the free burgers and dogs, all the vendors for being there and providing a good time for those families. I think several thousand people usually roll through that event. So, and the weather was gorgeous. So it was well attended. My daughter loves bounce houses and inflatable slides. And to the credit of the Housing Authority, it's the best smattering of inflatable entertainment you can probably find throughout the year. So if you have kids that also enjoy it, catch them next year. There's plenty to choose from. There's the First Street Gateway Project open house on Thursday this week from 6 to 7. It'll be in the council meeting room, which I assume is where we had our pre-meeting. Is that the title of that room? Or is it here? Okay, so across the hall from 6 to 7 on Thursday, the First Street Gateway Project. I apologize, that's June 24th, so that's probably next. Oh no, I'm sorry. The reason I'm mentioning it tonight is it is happening at the same time as our council meeting next week, I think is what I saw. So I was not stoked to see that because I would have liked to attend that. So I was going to give Amber a hard time. She's our MPO liaison. I would like MPO activities to avoid city council meetings if possible. Maybe there's reasons that had to be held. So anyways, at our same time as our meeting next week, they will be having the First Street Gateway open house in the meeting room from 5 to 7. I apologize, man. I'm just misinforming the community all over the place. Line breaks and stuff not existing. First Street Gateway this Thursday, 6 to 7. June 24th, 5 to 7. MPO will have an informational public house on the Robertson Road Corridor study. Also something I would have liked to be at because I live right over in that area. So apologies for the confusion. Wires got crossed. First Street Gateway this week, Thursday, 6 to 7, June 24th next week, 5 to 7, MPO, Robertson Road Corridor Study. And then, as Councilor Haskins mentioned, lastly, we had an opioid oversight committee meeting yesterday. We selected our officers. I am grateful for the trust and faith the group has in me to be their chair. Potentially misplaced, but appreciative nonetheless. I was thankful she accepted my nomination for my vice chair position. And then Peter from the county commissioners is kind of acting as our treasurer. We'll be meeting every third Monday in the afternoon until we accept proposals back from the released RFP, at which point we will likely switch to quarterly meetings. In our meeting this week, we discussed amendments to the RFP, clarifying some language, adding some grading criteria, and some other small adjustments. We will be approving that RFP once it's been edited and returned back to us. The committee, if we're okay with the RFP, we'll go back to our bodies, the council and the commissioners. It'll need to be approved by both of our bodies, and then obviously we'll get it published and we'll start receiving some proposals to use some of those settlement funds. That's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
You bet. Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like everybody said, we great time in WHAM. I attended some fantastic informational meetings. Councilor Gamroth and I got to walk through the cloud. Everybody always says, where's the cloud? Where's our data go? We got to walk through the cloud. The Microsoft data farm down in Cheyenne that they're building, and it's quite impressive. It was nice to get to be able to do that because they do not let people go through there. So it was kind of cool to be able to go do that. We had a great meeting talking about making changes in zoning and policies to help developers get housing up at a better pace and less costly to try and help with the housing issues that we have in the state. My nephew is a developer down in Cheyenne, and he said they are at about 5,500 houses short, and we here are about 3,500 short. My nephew's also building some houses here in Casper to help, but he's building them expensive things. So, but that was a great one to attend. I also got to attend one with the state auditor and learn more about the F-66 form and why they do cash instead of accrual. It was a good conversation. I know, unless you're accountant, it's not interesting, but we, so, yes, it was a good one. And then a couple other great classes that I learned a lot and appreciate being down there. One of them with the wyotax.org, talking about the different changes that they want to, that the legislators are looking at with taxes. And like Kyle said, they've done the math. And to replace that $2 billion in property tax, if they do away with property taxes, by the way, doing away with property taxes would do away with property taxes for commercial as well as personal. That would increase our sales tax to between 12 to 15%, which would also eliminate the city's ability to request an additional special penny tax to take care of any special needs that we would want to have like we did last year. So definitely not something that needs to be thought over well, and they need to do their math in order to know what they're getting into there. Wyotax, go to wyotax.org. They have a fantastic tool there called the Cowboy Family Tool. You can input your information in there and find out how much you are getting out of your tax dollars that you spend in Wyoming. I was playing with it today. Just as an example, a single parent with 3 children in school making about $45,000 a year and owning a $225,000 house is paying about $3,461 in taxes and receiving $67,243 worth of services. So that shows why Wyoming is 49 out of 50 for the least amount of taxes that we pay and the best bang for your buck. So I think that we ought to be happy that we live in Wyoming where taxes are low. It's, but that's a great tool. I think everybody should go in there and look and see, and it breaks out the different services that you receive from your tax dollars, schools, et cetera. So go in there and play with it. It's yotax.org. The Cowboy Family Tools up on the top. So I think that's everything I've got, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thank you so much. I'll be very brief. Omar, I forgot to mention when I was trying to talk back, we're trying to answer some of your questions or respond. You had mentioned something about ICE and the immigration and things that are in Casper and about the police department. I will go on record to also vouch that our police department is also one of the finest in the state. We have an amazing chief that believes in respecting people, respecting due process, and understanding that. They are very well trained, and they understand that, and they work very well within the idea of respecting citizens and being able to do that. And so I just want to make sure you know that that's one thing that they do. And it is unfortunate, and it is happening, right? And I'm as a Latino and a Hispanic, my brother's much darker than I am. And so I also know that that's the reality of what we see and has happened around the country. And so it is at this moment where we're at in history. But I also understand as a Latino, especially with the individuals that I know and people of color that are struggling as well. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, also, it's okay to get into some good trouble as well. You can make waves. You can make good statements, especially for things that you believe in. So don't forget that either. The only thing I'm going to say about WHAM is there was a lot of talk about local control. The only thing that I'm going to say right now about the local control is that the city of Casper, well, let me just go back. The Wyoming State Legislature talks a lot about the federal government staying out of the business of the state. They talk a lot about independent control. They talk a lot about local control, and they like to say that a lot. They go around marching and they say those words. But when it comes time for them to stay out of our business as local control of what we know what's best for our city, what we know what's best for us in our budget, they certainly are contradictory. And I think that that's very, very rich to hear that. And it is very hypocritical. So if you respect local control and autonomy and local government, then they should believe in it. Everybody's for local control until they're not. So let's quit talking about local control, but then doing something else in the state legislature. And that's what WHAM was talking about. Thank you so much thank you guys for staying a little late for some of our comments. I really do appreciate it. A notice of an executive session to take place at this date and during this meeting was given. We have a personnel matter to discuss. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn into an executive session, and at the conclusion of that executive session to reconvene the regular meeting solely for the purposes of the adjournment of this regular meeting.
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Haskins. There being a majority of councilors present and a motion to adjourn into an executive session has been moved and seconded. The motion requires a 2/3 majority of the council present. Please cast your votes. Councilor Bond, how do you vote?
Aye.
There being a majority please record the vote. Sorry.
With all counselors voting aye, the motion passes.
A greater than 2/3 majority of the council present voted in favor of the motion, and we are